I'm here with Natalie from Beyond Skin, who's brought a gorgeous range of shoes to show us. Hi Natalie.
Hello there.
Now, tell us what's special about Beyond Skin shoes.
Beyond Skin is predominantly an ethical label. I started it 4 years ago after becoming a vegan, after being vegetarian for a long time. And I felt that there was a lack of cruelty-free shoes on the market. It opened a can of worms for me on the kind of ethical front, and the more I started researching and looking into footwear, the more I realised that there was a lot more angles where I could try and make the shoes more ethical along the way. So now we produce in England, and all of our fabrics are sourced in Europe.
I can see that we've got a great range here because we've got the very bridal shoes and then we've got the really funky bridesmaid or guest to a wedding shoes. So tell me about what we've got.
The bridal shoes are made to order only. So what happens is a customer contacts us, they discuss their wedding with us, and we send them a whole selection of swatches, which could be vintage fabrics or just a whole selection of fabrics that we've sourced that are kind of bridal orientated. And we send them out the swatches and they pick the style that they'd like and the fabric that they'd like, and then we hand make the shoe for them.
I'm seeing some gorgeous fabrics on the table here. Where would something like this come from?
Well, this one particularly is made from vintage recycled fabric. So we go trotting off around the country to a selection of vintage fairs, and we basically forage for hours and find gorgeous fabrics that we then make shoes out of. So that's those. Most of this collection, which is bespoke wedding, they are fabrics that we've just literally sourced from Europe or the UK. That's kind of as far as we go as far as sourcing, because we're trying to keep everything as close to home as possible.
Where do you start when you're designing a pair of shoes?
Where do we start? Well, all shoes are made on something called a last, which is a model. So most of the time we have a last and we kind of visualise kind of shapes that will work really, really well. Do a lot of kind of research, kind of foraging around vintage shops, getting ideas from kind of previous generations. And a lot of it, I'll tell you, is based on what we like.
What would be your alternative to leather then, if you didn't want to wear something all silky?
Okay, we do something called PU, which is a faux leather. It's polyurethane. This is a little faux snakeskin, which is made out of PU. It's actually, the technology has come on so much since the plastic shoes they used to get in the 70s, thank goodness, which were often PVC. Now they are breathable, they're antibacterial, and they are sourced in Italy. And they're very high tech, and a lot of them are actually more expensive than leather.
So talk me through the range in front of me.
Okay.
Let's get a closer look.
Well, this has been one of our more popular wedding shoes. This is the Kira shoe, and it's in a really lovely white damask, which we tend to sell quite a lot of this damask, because it comes in lots of really bright colours actually. But white, obviously, for weddings seems to work marvellously.
That's a very high heel.
That is a rather high heel, isn't it? A bit high for me, I must say.
And what about this shoe? This is gorgeous.
That's our Kylie shoe. That's very similar to the Kira actually, with that outrageously high heel. But it's also a popular shoe. It's quite kind of retro, kind of 50s vibe going on. And this fabric is just one that we sourced from Europe that we constantly have in stock.
And these are very Garden of Eden, aren't they?
Yes, that's a beautiful vintage fabric that we found. Actually, this is one of the shoes that was in Postmistress in Covent Garden. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful fabric. Unfortunately, we've run out of it now.
Oh no.
Sadly.
What a shame. Now I love these because they're really brightly coloured, but they are still in that vintage fabric.
They are. These are from our vintage collection actually. I know, that's absolutely beautiful fabric.
Well, I adore the shoes and I wouldn't feel guilty wearing them, and I think that's a fantastic combination. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
It's been a pleasure.